I'm here with a incredible customer of ours, Sean. He's been with us for a decent amount of time. He was obviously generating leads long before working with us directly. That's how our conversation kind of started and sparked. Was I reached out over email, immediately got back to us, and we set up a call with him. And it was very interesting to see the back end. That's kind of what very analytical, very detail oriented, and that's how I am as well, very numbers driven. So you needed the ISA portion. That was the main thing that was kicking. We've tried Google pay-per-click leads in the past, and it's very interesting. I'll let him kind of lead on. So I guess, Sean, feel free to introduce yourself. I appreciate you coming on. And I guess maybe start with how long during and how long before did you start generating online real estate leads?
Yeah. So we have been generating leads probably online on pay-per-click since about 2022, maybe even slightly before that, 2021, I would think.
Hmm.
We originally started with a system that we joined up, and they were running pay-per-click leads for us. We were taking the calls, and where we were struggling was getting speed to lead and not getting to people in time.
Hmm.
So we were finding that we weren't necessarily getting through to clients, and as much as we would like to. We ended up changing systems, which we did probably 2025. And at that point, it was two of us in a team. My
Hmm.
father, Rob, and myself, we were busy operating. We were just finding that we were struggling to get to the leads when we needed to. The leads come through at awkward times. You need to call them immediately, and we just weren't getting to that.
Hmm.
So we started looking into ISAs, and around the same time, we just got a cold call or a cold email from Brandon.
Yeah.
And initially, we kind of like, oh, not another one. And we kind of pushed it to the side. But we ended up reaching out to Brandon and having a conversation with him. And we thought, well, let's give it a try.
Hmm.
And we were really surprised by the difference in terms of the amount of appointments being set. And that was really important for us, was getting appointments set so that we could actually speak to people.
Hmm.
And they were getting through to people a lot faster than we were getting through to them. We found that the way that they operated was fantastic too. So we would receive an email or information from Brandon
Hmm.
stating exactly who the lead was and when we needed to call, which was fantastic because we could then plan our day around that, or we could certainly work our appointments around that.
Hmm.
And so we found that it was really useful to actually shift away from trying to do these calls ourselves, and we found that the conversion rate was significantly higher.
Yeah, that's awesome. You kind of already said it, but what was I always like to hear because some people it's like a wow factor, and it was for us too. But it's like, how is it seeing that first new buyer appointment with so and so from Convertifi and seeing that first appointment booked in email? And what Sean said, sometimes we can only dig so much. We can only work with the leads as much as they're willing to work with us. Some give us a paragraph, some give us a couple sentences, but then others they'll give us three paragraphs. They'll give us their whole life story of how long they've owned the current property, and we are trying to give Sean as much detail and leverage as possible so he can basically start at step 10 with these leads and he doesn't have to go through the whole steps 1 to 9 of qualification and do the basic discovery. That's our whole job. So I'm kind of curious as to how that was for you guys. I think I know already, but you guys were like, this is awesome. This is exactly what we needed
It was
from that
exactly
point.
because we would know exactly what the client was looking for, the sort of price ranges, the areas. Were they pre-approved? Did they were they first-time buyers, which is obviously really important for us because we have a slightly different approach as
Yeah.
to how we look at first-time buyers. So we found it very useful to have that information up front before we actually made the call. We did find it obviously the minute we got that connection, we would
Mhm.
reach out immediately just via text, just to confirm that we would be connecting at that time too.
It's awesome.
And we found that that was a very good way of doing it. Um, we found that the caliber of the people we spoke to was pretty good too. So that could also be part and parcel that the quality of our pay-per-click leads were actually quite good.
For sure.
But I do think it really helped having somebody like you guys reaching out first and making that initial connection so that when we had that, it wasn't a cold call.
Yeah.
We're able to literally get in and have a decent conversation from the get-go. And both expectations on both sides, both the client and ours, was actually kind of a little bit easier to manage in terms of how we approach the whole thing.
Right. And it was. we can only do so much as ISAs too. We're not even licensed, so we can't talk about the specifics that you guys can. So we can only work up to 50%. The other 50% has to be you taking the lead across the finish line. And a deal isn't just the only thing that's across the finish line. That could be getting them on showings or just setting up a specific search. So I guess for other agents listening who want to know what the process is on your side, on the back
Mm.
end side, what made you guys so successful? Because I remember seeing like 8 p.m. Eastern is when our auto emails fire off of how was your appointment with. We would get an email most of the time that night or at the latest the next following morning from both of you, and it was awesome to see that. What is your current process just to making sure that, hey, we cannot miss these leads. We're
Yeah.
spending on the pay per click. We're spending on Convertify and branded services. We may as well make this thing worth it. Let's try to squeeze as much juice from it as we can, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, I mean, what we were finding with the pay per clicks before is we were receiving them,
Hmm.
and we would then get to it when we could. We were reasonably successful at it, but
Yeah,
it reasonably successful is not what we want to be. We want to be successful.
for sure.
So we needed to step up our game a little bit, and we found that obviously just getting that call in earlier really helped a lot. Once we had that call, we got through to the client, and obviously they're all at very different stages. Very few of pay-per-click leads that you'll get are going to purchase immediately.
Yeah.
They are not that far down the funnel. Um, for us, that was kind of important because what was really a big thing for us was building our pipeline.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what this has done,
Yeah.
is we have got a really good selection of clients now, and some we would have had, but some we wouldn't have had because they might not have answered when we called or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
And I know that Brandon and his team are quite relentless in terms of calling,
Yeah.
which is great because that's what we need, and that's perhaps where we do sort of slack a little bit. Is that we're always running around doing what's urgent, but not always what's important. And it's
Yeah.
really important that you keep on following up with the leads if they don't answer or they don't come through to you. So we found that the conversion was definitely higher. Post that, what would happen is if we could get the people out, that was obviously our first choice. So we
For
would
sure.
really strive to get people out there, even if they were at earlier stages, just to start building that relationship. Um, and we actually had a couple of people that were fairly hot, which was great. Well, not fairly, they were hot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you will find that's going to happen. But as with leads, and we work other lead sources too, we're finding that is very general right now, is that it is taking a little bit of time for people to get out and to get them to a property where we can start working them a lot harder.
Seriously.
But the really hard part is getting them there. And this working with Brandon and his team, we found that really made a big difference. It took a lot of time of our sort of plate in terms of having to focus on, oh heavens, we've got a contact, and following up on our CRM, just making sure that um, we were getting through to people. Brandon was taking a lot of that off our plate, which was fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's really an important part. You can't give it to a ISA who is unqualified and doesn't really know what they're doing. You really got to have somebody that knows what they're doing, that has the ability to connect with people and create that ability to then set the appointment.
Yeah.
And we found that that's what you guys did really well. And that's why we considered you, we still, we consider you part of our team.
Yeah. And that's you kind of answered it. And my final question is like, what would you recommend to other agents? You kind of already hinted at it. I'll answer one piece before I forget is
Yeah.
yes, so many agents, especially the newer ones, which is understandable. It's like, I'm going to be burning a lot of money here. Let's try to get a deal in 60 to 90 days. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm filming this. It's March 2026. The market, nobody knows. The market is in a very weird spot right now. It's not 2020, 2021 anymore where things are just flying off the shelves and buyers are ready and pre-approved and good to go. There's so much nurturing. So we set, the total of 45 appointments over that course of working together. A lot of those aren't even going to convert probably for another year or two, frankly. Maybe a little bit less, but a solid like year of that pipeline building, just like you said. The key word across this entire thing that Sean said perfectly is just pipeline. We don't really care about deals right now. We just care about throwing as many people into the funnel and we'll do our nurturing. We'll do our work from there so we
Absolutely.
can help get them across that finish line. And like you said, you're going to have to do a lot of work on your side too. It's not just up to us. It's of course, it's everything working together. A good is the keyword lead source. You don't need an excellent one. We could work with a good ISA, and then the thing that I remember you guys had the conversation of where it's like, Brandon, we can make these calls, but we don't have 2, 3 hours a day to sit here and, deal with people who are, dead leads or the wrong numbers or people who aren't even serious, or it's like someone signed up for a school project. Like we got to get that stuff off our plate. We need to be dealing with people who are more serious, and I could deal with my other side of the business, which is getting them in properties or in showings, which is
Absolutely.
amazing. And that's, I guess, but my part, I guess my final part on that was, that to new agents. But what else? Is there anything else that you would say to new agents who want to do this, who
Oh, yeah.
want to delegate online lead stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing this for over 20 years and I've done a lot of training. I've trained a lot of brokers, specifically in South Africa, where I came from, and working here with a lot of brokers in the US. So, what I can tell you is there's no silver bullet in real estate. If you
Yeah,
think that you're going to walk into this industry and be successful in 3 to 6 months, you might make a couple of deals. You might have an initial hot patch, but it will cool off.
yeah,
The real key of this business is to build sustainability and to build pipeline and to build continuity.
yeah.
And that's what you've got to look for and you've got to strive for. And investing in yourself is really important. So if you're expecting leads to just flow, then it's not going to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
you've got your network, and that's a very important part of your system. But sometimes you need other sources too, and you need other leads, and that's what we needed. And
yeah.
when you do have that, you want to make sure you're maximizing it. So the way you've got to do it is make sure your systems are good. If you're not using a good CRM, get on a good CRM.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with time, then look to see how you can better utilize other resources, which is exactly what Brandon is.
Hmm.
And it works. There's no
Yeah.
question that it works. And I'm happy to discuss with anybody on a call if they would like to reach out to me and validate that. I mean, I'm happy to share what we did and how it worked.
Yeah.
So, you just feel free to reach out and let me know if you have questions on it, and I'll be happy to answer them. The fact is that you're not going to build a sustainable business in 3 months. It'll take 3 years, maybe a little less, but
Minimum.
I
Yeah.
always bank on the 3-year rule.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We want to get to a place where the business is turning and making money and consistently good after a period of time.
Yeah. Before we end off, is the one thing you told me this, and I tell agents this all the time, is the organic and the sphere and your network and referrals is great. You have to do that. I think that's where everyone gets their first couple deals, which is
Yes.
what I recommend. Like the online lead stuff is going to be really tough if you haven't done a couple deals first. But what happens is, and it messes with you mentally, is you get 2, 3 deals from your network in 1 month, and then you can go 3 months without seeing anything because that's just repeat and referral and how it works. So then it's like, oh, am I a bad agent? Oh my, like I can't burn all this cash, and then you crash and burn. So that's why you told me, it's like, Brandon, we needed a reliable lead source where Google pay-per-click, I know they're not perfect. I know they're not silver platter leads, but we can predictably, on usual, put $1 in and we could get 3, 4, 5 back over time, over a long enough time horizon, because that's how online leads work. Is you spend $1,000 on ad spend, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, and you're getting a good amount of pipeline, a good amount of leads that will eventually turn into a 10, 15, 20, $30,000 commission over time. Though you can't, like, you have to build for, kind of said it, but longevity. It's like you can't just have some quick wins and then expect to build some 7-figure business. It just doesn't, it's not gonna happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, all
So
the best agents out there have been doing it usually quite a long period of time.
exactly, exactly. So no, that's awesome. I really, really appreciate the details shared. Appreciate you coming on. And again, for those listening, feel free to reach out, obviously to myself, to Sean, to both, and we will discuss on how we can get this rolling and push forward with the system. I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime. Thank you very much, and thanks for everything.
Thanks.